Well, it's Monday, the 21st of April, 2008. Still in front of the Higdon House, San Diego. Going on over to the scripts here after a bit to get the verdict on how the surgery's gone. Got a new email last night, at least I read it last night, just before I went to bed. Don't know just when it came in yesterday, but it was advising me I'm a moron. Well, you know, when your handle's IGCT, standing for Ignorant Country Turtle, it's not too surprising that somebody thinks you're a moron. So I wasn't too terribly offended, but it kind of bothered me to see why the fellow called me a moron. You can find a lot of reasons, I'm sure, but this particular emailer was upset over apparently viewing one or both of the videos I have about Alamosa wrestling. He said, in effect, you're a moron because you don't know that it wasn't VIGIL, it was Coach Gary RAMSTETTER that brought all those victories and championships to the Alamosa wrestling program. Well, I'm real proud to say that I was part of the screening process that led to me recommending to the Board of Education to hire Mr. RAMSTETTER as a shop teacher and a willing and ready to be assistant wrestling coach. And he was a good one. Particularly, I was proud of him as a shop teacher. Boy, he brought that program to life, and he and his kids, the teams that competed, did very, very well in shop. So it's no surprise to me that after I left Alamosa and after VIGIL was no longer coach, that the wrestling program stayed right up there, and apparently did better under him than it did under Roger. But I do want to say to the emailer, Roger VIGIL was the coach that performed the miracle. That here was a program that under two previous coaches during my tenure there couldn't do a thing with wrestling. It was a disgrace almost. VIGIL came in and in 1 year made it an exciting, vibrant, woo, fun to watch program. So no put down to Mr. RAMSTETTER. Hooray for Mr. RAMSTETTER, Coach RAMSTETTER. Great coach. Roger VIGIL, hooray for him. Great coach, miracle worker. When you take a down and out program, no special favors, no special this or that, and turns it into a great program. A program that obviously Coach RAMSTETTER continued and perhaps improved on. Well, moron or not, I'm obviously indebted to Roger VIGIL and in awe of him. Got me to thinking though. One time there at Alamosa, a lady that I'd met and interviewed came in, had to ask for another appointment, and I was glad to give her an appointment. Oh, I wasn't so glad I had done that when she got into the office, closed the door, and whoo, she read my pedigree forward and backward, and it was worse than being called a moron. She ended up saying, how do you choose who you recommend to the Board of Education for a job? Do you just put the names on a piece of paper and stick them up there on the bulletin board and stand back and take a dart and throw it? Whoever it hits, that's the one you recommend? Well, of course, that's not the way it works. And as a superintendent, you're certainly one of the, in a small district where you're also the director of personnel, you're certainly one of the key people involved, but you involve the principal and sometimes the department head and so on. So it's not all one way, but as far as she was concerned, it was, and I was doing a lousy job. I think she was upset because she'd been screened and hadn't got the job that she felt she was entitled to. She was a local resident, she'd gotten her college degree, and she ought to have a job. Well, yeah, she should. But maybe in one of the neighboring school districts, if she didn't screen into ours, you're not entitled just because you get a degree to get a job. And I know sometimes some of the propaganda about going to college to be successful infers that if you do, you're going to get a good job. A lot of things go into who gets what job. Well, she also knew that a young man out at Adams State College, in a field that we had an opening, had made straight A's, straight A student. And she knew that he hadn't been screened into the finalist for the position. And boy, she really let me have it on that. Well, you know, I didn't get into that with her very much further because she obviously didn't come to listen. She came to read my pedigree, and she did it. And I think she left feeling that he doesn't listen even when you tell him. She didn't leave happy. I'm sure she remained, and probably to this day remains, one of my real critics. But the email that prompted the video triggered a lot of memories for me about other teachers that, again, the principal, the department head often had a major role in it, but teachers that I ended up recommending to the Board of Education, both at Alamosa and in other school districts, recommended some teachers for non-renewal of contract. And believe me, every one of those was an interesting case. And I want to deal with not only those that I did recommend, but some I didn't that I wished I had have, wished I felt I could have. But that's for another video. Mr. Emailer, or Miss Emailer, I don't know. Thanks for the email. You got me thinking.